Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and discovering that your country's access to the world's smartest AI has just been switched off. Not because you broke any laws, not because your internet failed, but because another government decided you could no longer have access. That sounds like science fiction, but something remarkably similar has already happened, and it revealed something Europe had been quietly ignoring. For all its talk about strategic autonomy, Europe doesn't actually control the most important technology of the 21st century. Washington, D.C. does, and that changes everything. For almost a decade, Europe has pursued one goal above all others: strategic autonomy. The idea is simple. Europe wants to reduce its dependence on both America and China. You've probably seen this already. The EU has pushed for semiconductor manufacturing, European cloud providers, energy independence after Russia invaded Ukraine, defense industrial policy, digital regulation, and now artificial intelligence. Brussels wants Europe to become an AI superpower. Billions of euros are being invested. Gigafactories are being announced. Data centers are being planned across the continent. Politicians talk constantly about AI sovereignty. But here's the problem. AI sovereignty, it really isn't about data centers. It's about who owns the best models, and Europe doesn't. Now, there's one particular incident that changed everything. Recently, European policymakers watched something happen that many of them had feared for years. Access to one of America's most advanced AI systems suddenly became uncertain. Whether temporary or not almost doesn't matter, because the message was received. If America controls frontier AI, America controls access. Around the same time, reports emerged suggesting that the White House had begun taking a much more active role in overseeing access to the newest generation of frontier models. Suddenly, what had looked like a commercial relationship started looking like a geopolitical one. That worried Europe a lot, because Europe had already been discussing exactly this possibility. A paper called Europe 2031 had spread rapidly through European technology circles. Its central argument sounded almost ridiculous when it was first published. Europe would not become militarily dependent on America or economically dependent. It would become AI dependent. Today, that prediction suddenly feels much less far-fetched. Now let's look at something that everybody now talks about. AI is becoming the new oil. For decades, oil determined geopolitical power. Countries fought over it. Then came semiconductors. The countries that controlled advanced chips controlled modern economies. Now we're entering another transition, AI. Frontier AI models are no longer just chatbots. They're becoming engines for scientific discovery, military planning, cyber operations, drug development, robotics, intelligent analysis, entire industries. Some European officials have reportedly begun comparing AI to nuclear technology, not because it explodes, because possessing it creates a strategic advantage that everyone else struggles to match. And once you think about AI this way, everything changes. Access to AI stops being a business decision and becomes a national security decision. So why doesn't Europe just build another OpenAI? Simple answer, because it's incredibly expensive. Training frontier AI models now requires hundreds of thousands of cutting-edge AI chips, gigawatts of electricity, massive data centers, the world's best researchers, and tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars. Some estimates suggest the next generation of frontier models could cost well over $200 billion to build. Europe simply is not operating at that scale. Its AI Gigafactory program is ambitious, but even when completed, those facilities will still be significantly smaller than the enormous AI campuses already under construction in the US and the Middle East. And then there's another problem that almost nobody talks about: electricity. Europe already has some of the highest industrial power prices in the developed world. Grid congestion delays new data centers by years. Even if Europe found the money, its infrastructure is not ready. AI isn't just becoming a software race, it's becoming an energy race. So perhaps Europe should simply switch to China. Not so fast. Chinese AI models are improving at an astonishing speed. Some are approaching American performance, but relying on Beijing simply replaces one dependency with another. European governments also have concerns about cybersecurity, supply chains, regulatory compliance, and future export controls. There's no guarantee that China would always provide unrestricted access to its most advanced AI either. So Europe faces an uncomfortable reality. It can't fully depend on America, but it doesn't trust China enough to depend on Beijing either. So what's the conclusion? Here's the great irony. Europe talks constantly about strategic autonomy, yet AI may become the technology that ties Europe even closer to Washington. Not because Europe wants that outcome, but because it may not have any other realistic choice. Instead of building an open AI competitor, Europe is increasingly likely to pursue something else: long-term agreements, trusted partner status, permanent access guarantees, shared governance. In other words, tech diplomacy. The future of Europe's AI strategy may depend less on building the world's smartest model and more on ensuring that whoever occupies the White House continues to let Europe use America's. Because in the AI era, power is not just about who invents the technology, it's about who controls access to it. And that might become the defining geopolitical question of the next decade.